once. We're live. Okay, everybody. Hey, this is Greg with the Dyson Flow. I have David Pearce with me from Tabletop Heroes. Looks like Sven joined. I'm not sure. I must have done something wrong. Sven is actually in the chat thing instead of just.
It just told me to join. I clicked on your link.
Yeah. I think I probably sent out the invite for everybody to join and talk. So then I sent out the other one. So yeah, basically I failed at the internet. But that's okay. We can have everybody here. So yeah, Dave, thanks for joining me. We wanted to talk about All Quiet on the Martian Front. I've done a lot of stuff with All Quiet with some of the previous iterations of the game, and have a lot of people interested in what's going on with the game at this time. So I actually was going to show you. Was such a big fan. My wife made this tripod for me for a birthday cake, and this is made out of basically the stuff they make flowers out of for cakes and stuff. So it's sitting here, and it's actually like a year old now. So, but somehow this thing's lasted longer than some of my minis. So, I guess just to start off, can you give me a little bit of background about you and your company?
Well, sure thing. For myself, well, I've been a gamer all my life. I started playing games when I was about 8 years old. The first miniature game I played was BattleTech back in the 80s.
Oh, excellent. I'm a big BattleTech fan.
And the first board game my father ever gave, a real board game, was Panzer Leader and Panzer Blitz. So that's what when I was a kid, that's what I cut my teeth on.
Excellent.
I'm a retired Marine. I retired about 2 years ago after a little over 20 years. And I've been a game store owner as well for the past 18 years.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I've a partner. My partner, Chris Ewick, and I started up the Game Matrix, one of the oldest and most well-established game stores in the Northwest, about 18 years ago. And now, since I've retired, we've, just for some clarification, Tabletop Hero Productions was a placeholder name because when All Quiet on the Martian Front became available, I absolutely leapt at the chance to pick that up and be able to breathe new life into this this fan favorite. And so we used Tabletop Hero Productions as a placeholder until we got all the legal and copyright things sorted out. And the official name of the company is Abby Normal Publishing.
Abby Normal Publishing. There's got to be a story there.
Yeah. Well, anybody who's a fan of Young Frankenstein will get the references.
Okay.
Yep.
So, Sven, I'm going to kick you from the main chat. You can rejoin at the other link, and okay. Because as you're talking or whatever, it's coming through. Okay. Maybe. Eject. Yes. I'm sorry about that, everybody watching later. Yeah, so basically I once again failed at the internet. My son kids me on our Sigmar and Son show. I fail at the internet all the time. I don't know how. I'm an IT guy and can fail at the internet so much. So I just kind of have the, some questions that we were going about, and we'll definitely get the name changed or whatever. So I was going to say, to me, All Quiet on the Martian Front, it's like one of the most iconic looking games. When I've run it at tournaments, when I've run it at like Gen Con and or other conventions, and people see it, it draws a crowd because these guys are so iconic, and it just has a really great tabletop presence. And I'm sure you agree because of your enthusiasm for it, and that's probably what really it's what first attracted me to the game, and I think that's what first attracts a lot of people.
Yeah, when I first noticed it at a con a number of years ago called Inflod here in the Northwest. It's a big historical convention here, and that's when I first saw the game. And the giant tripods and the World War I tanks really drew me in because had never seen that combination before on a board game or a miniature game, and it just sucked me right in.
Yeah.
It's always an eye catcher whenever it's thrown out on the table.
Right. So can you kind of, I guess you said this was a placeholder, so I'm kind of going off script. You had your company name as a placeholder. Where is everything at right now?
Well, right now is as far as, are you referring to as far as where we're at with the production or the development or
development, the transfer of the license, that sort of stuff?
The license has been completely transferred over to me. It was owned by Miniature Market, who picked it up from when Alien Dungeon dropped the game. We picked it up, or Miniature Market picked it up, and they just recently sold the IP to me. And I've assembled a team. I've got an entire team together to help with the development. It's second edition. The rules are in development and play testing. So keep that in mind. The always in motion is the future. So things are changing as far as the development of it. But we're quite a long ways into it. We have all the molds and current existing molds are being transferred as we speak to our new location.
Excellent. And so I'm sorry, I'm still trying to get people over from the other chat area. So yeah, you mentioned Alien Dungeon, and so I guess there is kind of a little bit of a negative history with some of the stuff that happened with Alien Dungeon. And so just kind of viewers who aren't sure of what's going on, Alien Dungeon basically did an original Kickstarter. And then, I guess, lack of a better term, they went bankrupt, right? And Miniature Market bought the property and developed a little bit, but basically just kind of nursed it along, didn't really go whole hog into it. And then they decided, I guess, that they were not going to get into the game creating business and just go more retail. And so they were looking to sell it, and that's when you stepped up, is what I was kind of hearing.
That's pretty accurate. Yeah, Alien Dungeon had a rather successful Kickstarter. They raised $300,000, a little over $300,000 on their Kickstarter, and so by all standards, it was a successful Kickstarter. Where they failed was a little bit on the back end with the delivery of promises. There was a little bit of mismanagement on the back end.
Right.
Not to throw anyone under the bus, but Ernie.
Right. And so, yeah, and these are really they're in the early days of Kickstarter, for lack of better terms. And so, I think they fell victim to the enthusiasm and adding stretch goals and adding more and more stretch goals. And so, stretch goals don't necessarily come free. They had to then create those items that they kept promising, and I think that's where the problem was. But I don't want to go into any negative.
Yeah, fortunately, with lessons learned, the team that's part of Abbey Normal does include some solid business experience. We have business professionals involved in the company, so this isn't a bunch of guys out of their garage just winging it.
Okay, great. Yeah. Good to hear.
Yeah, the Abbey Normal team has almost half a dozen completed and successful Kickstarters under its belt, and we have a solid business experience with running companies. So
that's great to hear. That's great to hear that you guys have the Kickstarter experience. So now that you have I call it the AQMF, All Quiet Martian franchise, I think, well, we know some of your information from the boards and stuff that you had posted. You talked about doing a second edition and maybe doing a Kickstarter for that second edition rule book. Can you talk about what your plans are for that?
Yes. Right now, we're planning a 2019 Kickstarter for second edition, and it's not just a second edition rule book. We're also expanding on the miniature line, and we're going to redo some of the miniatures. We're already in development of new sculpts for the miniatures. We have some exciting stuff coming up. We're redoing some of the tripods because the new looks are pretty sexy, if you ask me. And what else are we working on? We got new lines. I know the German line is a big priority for us.
You're answering a ton of my questions I have in the future. So, I guess, so you're basically looking for this second edition. Are you looking for input? Can people apply to be a playtester for second edition? If so, how do they do that? Yes,
people that this is a fan-driven game, and the fan support of this game has been outstanding in the past. I mean, with a little bit of the rough start that the game had, it speaks to the solid playability and a enjoyability of the game that the fans have stayed true to it for the past few years. So we're definitely wanting to bring in fan input in this. And
David is stopped talking, or hopefully we're going to get him back here in a second. There he is. You lagged for a second, David. Go ahead.
Where'd you lose me at?
We lost you as you're looking for fan input.
Oh, yes. We are definitely looking for fan input for the game. The strong player base we have, I mean, the loyalty and that people have shown over the game for the past few years speaks to the game's strengths and playability and just how fun this game is. So, and that's all because of the fans that's kept this game alive up until this point. So we're definitely wanting to bring in fan input. So if you want to become an official playtester for second edition, go to send me an email at playtesting@abbeynormalpublishing.com.
We'll go ahead and get that, and I'll add that to a link at the bottom of this broadcast when we're done.
Okay.
And we can probably put that out on I think there's the Facebook group for the All Quiet group or whatever too.
Yes.
So I guess let's talk a little bit of fluff, not necessarily a great word, but the backstory. Excuse me. First of all, there were some great novels done by Scott Washburn, and I know he's a big member of the group. And I hope they'll stay at least canon or close to canon. I think I heard that you had actually talked with him, and I guess I'm looking for, are you going to be changing any of the backstory in any way, or changing maybe some of the dates on the timelines or anything, or just kind of where it is where it is, and we're going to go from there?
Yeah, I've spoken with Scott. I mean, he's a great guy, and he's written some exciting books with All Quiet on the Martian front materials.
Really good, and by the way, the audibles are really good too.
Yeah, and I'll be conferring with him, and I'll be speaking with him some more and with others on the team before any changes are made. But we are definitely wanting to maintain a lot of the timeline, and we're going to be working closely with Scott Washburn in the future.
Great, good to hear. So I guess I have a bunch of questions from people that I said, hey, if you have any questions, let us know. You had mentioned you were doing some resculpts for models. Specifically, are you redoing the assault tripods, or just maybe like some of the other ones that had heavier resin parts?
Well, we're planning a kind of a complete redesign of the tripods. Now, that's not to say that the existing tripods aren't great, because I mean that's part of the draw to the game is just how spectacular the models appear on the table. But we wanted to bring another line into it, and we are redoing the tripods. I mean, that's been a big priority for us.
Okay, nice. I guess I was going to ask, is that any thought to having different factions? I know that in Scott's novel, he talked about Martian clans, that the different sculpts might be quote unquote a different faction.
Well, that is, speaking of that, we are planning part of that in the future.
Oh, yeah. All right. It sounds like David is lagging again, and hopefully.
It just adds another dynamic to the game that I think people will find really exciting.
Great. You did lag there, but I think you came through. Basically, you're adding trying to look at adding another Martian faction is what you were.
Yeah, that's part of the plan for the future is different factions, different clans, different Martian groups. So Martian on Martian gameplay is a definite possibility for the future.
Right. Very nice. And so that was, yeah, I was looking forward to that. And I mean, kind of, you know, I'm a big Age of Sigmar player. People probably see my banner here since I screwed up as Sigmar and Son. My son and I do a Sigmar show. But yeah, they do a lot of stuff with, you know, like clan, you know, just keywords. And you can basically say, I'm part of this clan. And so I have this background and these special rules, or I have this background and I have these special rules. And I would imagine that would fit pretty well, just with, you know, the Martian clans. I was going to ask you about hints about new factions, but you mentioned Germans.
Yes, Germans was a big priority for us. For us, that's for human factions. The German one is the next logical one to put out, and as part of our policy of breathing new life into this game and making it fresh again is having new human factions, and Germany was really high on our priority list. Not saying that's going to be the only one we put out, but when it comes to the order in which we.
Wow, we're really having bad trouble tonight with the lagging. And everybody has a problem with live streams. So you were saying when it comes to the order, what was that?
That the order of new human factions, Germany's really high on the list for which ones are coming out first.
Do you guys think you might do new? I mean, if you're doing new tripods and new, like Germany, you might do like a new starter set that would be those guys, or you know, like, I mean, the people that like myself who you know basically have the other stuff, but yeah, that'd be a good way to jump into getting some of the new looking tripods and some of the new units.
Well, we're still working on exactly what the new starter set is going to consist of, but that's a strong possibility, is having tripods, Martians, and Germans, as opposed to the previous starter kit, which was Americans and tripods.
Right. There's a lot of fans of the Land Ironclad out there, and they were asking if that and or the Goliath are going to be brought back, as far as units available to purchase.
Oh yeah, those are really iconic models, miniatures for the game, and when you see those things on the table, that they just pop because they're just so big and so cool looking. But yeah, we are definitely working at if we can make them effectively, and a big thing is for us is quality control. I know in the past that there were some issues of quality control, but so that's been a high priority for us. So making sure that the new sculpts,
make sure the new sculpts are going to be quality. Yeah, like you said, I'm just talking because you're lagging, but I know that there were problems with some of the resin stuff that came out.
I'm sorry, say it again.
I said you were lagging, so I was just trying to talk. But I know that there's some stuff. There was problems with some of the resin stuff. I think the Goliath, some of the Mark IVs that I got toward more recently were, you know, pretty rough.
Yeah, and that's one of our big priorities is correcting the quality control for the miniatures. I'm a firm believer in giving a complete product and not something that a fan is going to have to spend, you know, 2 hours trying to fill in gaps on a resin resin cast miniature, when a little bit of quality control on our end would have saved everyone a whole lot of heartache.
I have a video of me putting together the big guy, the big tripod. I mean, it was.
Yeah,
I don't know how a normal, I don't say a normal person, but you know, I mean, you have to drill it and Dremel it and sand it and everything. Wow, it was a.
Yeah, I can definitely say that model is being redone.
Yeah. So I'll have one of a kind. You know, I actually painted that one on the one for Ironclad.
Yep.
So, anyway, so in addition to that, I guess you guys are kind of in a tough point with one of the problems I heard before was that the range is really pretty big, right? And so it's tough to have a store carry that huge range. And so in one sense, stores, and you're a store owner, so maybe you can talk to that, kind of wanted a smaller range of models, but yet, you know, us fans, we want more new models, right? And so are you going to consolidate like packs to be like a US sector pack or something, you know, so you don't have to have so many different models in the range? Or is that something you haven't concerned yourself with? Or
no, that is something we've definitely looked at. And speaking from a marketing, both to market it to fans and to retail outlets, and speaking from as a retail store owner, having a manageable line in the store is very, very important for deciding what exactly we're going to carry. So that is something we've been planning out exactly how we're going to be packaging the line in the future, instead of having, if the feasibility is for us to have packs that have a wider range of miniatures in it, as opposed to a dozen blister packs or a dozen small boxes, we can package it. It all comes down to marketing and the affordability as far as the packaging, if we can make it cost effective. Right.
And so, you know, I'm really glad to hear that, because, you know, you being a store owner, you're aware of these issues. I think Ernie or whoever did the first Kickstarter and stuff, that might have been one of their problems. They didn't realize the reality of owning a store and running a store and what people and distributors want. And so that's pretty cool. I guess I was going to ask, the original rule book was worked on by Rick Priestley.
Yes.
Have you contacted him or anything about him working on the second edition at all? Or
well, I'm not at liberty to say about about any input from Rick Priestley or Alessio Cavatore. We're not. That's not something I can talk about openly at the moment. But
okay,
I can say that the core of the game.
Not a definite no.
I'm sorry.
It wasn't a definite no, so that's kind of nice.
I can say that the core engine of the game hasn't changed. It's still going to be a fast, fun, easy to play game, and at its core, it's still the game designed by Alessio Cavatore and Rick Priestley.
Right, which I think one of the things I was going to ask later, but I'll go ahead and ask now. The move, shoot, move in the game is very unique to miniatures games. Is something that I mean, that's kind of what I call the basic whatever of the game, and so you're still keeping all those basic things the same, right?
As I said, a lot of the different aspects of the game, there are going to be some changes to it, because there's some balancing issues that I know a lot of people have experienced with.
Right. I was going to talk about those later, but
but a lot of that we're still in play testing exactly to keep it so the game continues to flow and has the unique flavor to it. So the play testing is still in progress.
Okay. I think, and I have this later in my notes, but a lot of people are concerned that the core of the game stays the core, you know, the same feel. It has the same feel as before. And so, you know, from what you said, I think that's your goal. And I guess most people are just trying to say, oh, it'd be great if we could put the errata in, if we can fix all of the mistakes, and but you guys are going to go a little farther than that and just try and smooth out a lot of things from what.
Yes, we are definitely going more than just throwing out an errata. The second edition isn't going to be just first edition with errata thrown in, because frankly, that's a little weak.
Right.
Anybody could do that. And just a moment.
Yeah. So yeah.
Sorry about
Hey,
that.
everybody, live streaming at its best. Lags, whatever. We need a phone call and a dog, and then we'll be perfect.
Yeah. Well, that was just my dog that was kept doing laps around my lap.
There you go.
Yeah.
So well, that's good to know. So it's and I think that makes business sense though.
Mm-hmm.
If, if it just was a second edition that was the errata, why buy it?
Yeah. Why go? Why not just? People will ask why didn't you just put out a PDF errata and call it good?
Right.
But we want to give the fans more than that.
Okay.
Our team was looking at providing the fans with the feel and tone of the previous edition, but giving them something new to be excited about and some new styles of play. But the core of the game is still going to remain the same.
Okay. So probably a lot of these questions I have won't about rules later on won't make sense or be able to be answered at this point. I'll throw out my conjecture. There was some talk about Venusians as well as the goofy units like Moorlands and Mudmen. Rules were never done. What are your thoughts on, well, these goofy things?
Well, as always, the fan input's critical for the success of this game. But at the moment, the direction is focused on other countries and factions and more miniature and options to support those. So
I'm glad to hear that.
Now, while there are possibility remains open for Moorlands and Mudmen in the future, and Vesuvians, right now we're going to be focusing on a Martian factions and human factions.
I'm really glad to hear that. I don't know, probably some people out there are not, but yeah, I didn't ever care for those, and there weren't really rules for them, but they had models, so I think that's why they went ahead and had them out there. And so this question may not make sense, but the units that are heavily resin metal get upgrades. I guess I'm thinking like the Harvester. Hopefully that is. My Harvester is downstairs and is like crumpled under its own weight. The legs couldn't hold up the head after like sitting for a year. Yeah,
and like I said, the entire tripod line is getting a facelift.
Okay.
Right now we're all fans of the originals, but we thought that a new facelift for the tripods would be really exciting. So
more angular or something.
I'm sorry?
I said maybe more angular or meaner looking.
Yeah, we'll actually be giving some sneak peeks to coming in the future of what the new look is going to be like. Not going to release it right in the moment, but we definitely will be giving people some sneak peeks.
And so I think one of the advantages of having you do this is that do you foresee the game? I guess you do foresee the game being carried by distributors, and international distributors as well.
Yeah.
It seemed like that was kind of a hang up before. I think maybe it was because it was miniature market. They couldn't really seem to get other distributors to jump onto it with them.
Yeah, well, as a game store owner, we are very committed to making the game available at game stores. We firmly believe that brick and mortar stores are the cornerstone of the gaming community.
Right.
And making sure that supporting the game stores, not just my own, but all game stores all over, is important. It's vital to us as gamers.
Right. Unfortunately for me, in one sense, I have an out because I'm local. Miniature Market has a store. So I don't feel bad necessarily supporting them. But
yeah, we definitely plan on supporting game stores in a real and tangible manner. So exactly how that's going to work out, play itself out, that's going to be announced later. But
okay,
making sure that these are stocked in game stores is important to us.
right. Yeah, I probably another old time game, Starfleet Battles, that I was very actively involved in. By the way, they're still being published, but they're not in game stores anymore. They're just pretty much running on their own with their own website.
Yeah, there's a that's a topic for another discussion.
Right. Yeah, I just meant so, but it sounds like it. But I think that you're right on this with the game stores, and especially when you have a line like this that is so attractive. You know, we were running it just up at a game store a couple of times, and you know, you'd always just get people, "What is that? That is so cool."
Yeah.
And we would get people that are not necessarily miniature players, and so. And because it was really so simple, they were able to just come over, roll dice, and move, count the range, roll dice, kill things.
That's one of the draws to the game is just how easy it is to pick up and learn. It just takes a few minutes to go from a cold start to running an army on it.
Right. I guess you had mentioned the balance issues before, so hopefully you guys are taking input on a unit point system that quote unquote works. I guess some question about basing, because you had talked about changing basing, but it sounds like that's something that'll come out of playtest.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we're still deciding on the exact new official basing. Not to say that everyone who I've seen some outstandingly based models and painted model armies for various people that they put up on the forums and the posts that I've seen that they've shared with the community, and those are gorgeous. That I think that the fans have done an outstanding job, and we're not going to invalidate all of their work. So.
Right.
So even if we do change the official base size, the existing bases will continue to be able to be used.
And this is mostly infantry, because really other things really don't have the base.
That's correct.
Yeah. So like tanks don't really have bases. I guess ships and airplanes. I'm a sucker for ships. The Navy, the scenario with the Mississippi River and tripods attacking St. Louis or whatever, or Memphis with some ships there. I'd love to see that. I don't know if you guys eventually are going to think you might look at adding ships or airplanes.
Well, speaking of that, we've already started playtesting aircraft. And the details still are forthcoming, and we're going to do some tweaks. But you could say that it's up in the air right now.
Up in the air with the airplanes. And Scott did have airplanes in his books. They're pretty. Basically, they were not really attacky airplanes, more scout type functionality. But you could definitely see that. So I have a bunch of questions rule wise, and you can just tell me your opinion. And they're going to be tested or whatever. So just looking for your current thoughts. I ask about move, shoot, move. The current, any thought on initiative systems? Well,
right now we're playtesting a new initiative system. That the initiative is going to be a bit more dynamic.
BattleTech initiative.
No, not quite BattleTech initiative.
I was just
in
your trouble because you said you liked BattleTech. I always fall back to the move one. Every time you have more than two, you move the other.
And something we're experimenting with different initiative phases, like everybody move on one side, or one side moves one unit, another side moves another unit, back and forth. For us, the way we do the initiative is going to be very important to maintain the flow of the game.
Right.
Because the more things we add to the game, the more complex it gets. And while everyone loves some crunch in the game, one of the appeals of this game is it's a fast-paced game.
Right.
So something's always happening on the board. You're always moving a miniature. So we want to make sure we maintain that.
Yeah, and I think that you know, the one the battle tech, what I call take turns back and forth, probably slows the game down. And so there'd be you definitely would have to have a reason to do that. So yeah, it might add crunch, might add more tactical flavor, but maybe more depth than the game really wants to have. Tripod charts or damage charts in general. I guess my opinion is that the tripods blow up and explode too often. You know, I can see the 10 where it's destroyed, but they explode and whatever. I mean, 1 out of 10 times you're hitting the thing, you're blowing up something, and everybody next to it, and then cascading. I know you guys mentioned some different damage charts. It's some stuff, and I guess speaking of charts, like the Type 4 tanks, Mark 4 tanks and stuff. Right now they only have, well, you hit them once and they're dead. It seems like they need multiple hit points or some sort of chart. Any thoughts on that?
Yes. The tripod chart is changing. So there are definite changes to the tripod chart. And also, when I first played the game, I looked at the Type 4 tanks. I mean, it's, you know, nice step up between the Goliath and the Mark IIIs. But the Mark IV was so big, I thought it was odd that it didn't, in fact, have a chart of its own. I mean, such a big model, I think, deserved a chart.
Yeah, right.
So that we're already playtesting charts for the Type 4s, the Goliaths, new hit charts for even the land ironclad as well as the tripods. So all of that's in playtesting right now.
Yeah, I actually heard that somebody said that the land ironclad, point-wise, could take basically about nine regular tripods. You send in a wave of 3, it kills them. You send in another wave of 3, it kills them. You send in another wave of 3. It's about even at that point. So that thing is just a beast.
It is. It is a beast.
And I guess the same with the Overseer. There's probably some tweaking of rules there because there's sort of the whole instant kill thing.
Right.
While is really cool, not so cool to have it used against you when you couple these instant kill things.
Right. Yeah. No one wants to put that huge model, either the land ironclad or the Overseer, and then have it die in one shot. I mean, that kind of ruins the fun for the respective players. So that's definitely something we're looking into.
Okay. I was going to say barrages. To me, they don't make sense.
Yeah, that seems to be.
There's a rule there. I mean, I totally understand the rule and how it works. It's just you have 3 guns, and basically you get in a 1-inch barrage, you get 1 shot in a 3-inch radius. Almost worthless compared to just regular. If I could just shoot 3 times at something, or something like that, I guess. Is you guys are looking? It sounds like you laughed and said that's kind of probably a common thought.
That is I haven't run into anyone that really likes the existing barrage rules. So that was pretty high up on our list of. We had a list of things we wanted to look at, and barrages were pretty high on that list. Yeah,
and then like the heavy artillery, which has like a barrage 3, and then the max is 4, and then it just gets a +4 to penetrate, or when it's like shoots and hits something and kills it. So that's cool. Glad you're looking at barrages. Infantry, talked about the base sizes. Is any thoughts on getting them? Or I don't know if they're looking to be more powerful or less powerful. Right now, they're kind of useless, but
infantry,
much what they need to be, right? Infantry.
Yes.
Regular line infantry.
Yeah. That was something we've been looking at. When I first started playing the game, I'm going, what's the point of infantry?
The hit rules actually make them work a lot better.
Yeah. We are working on making infantry a lot more player friendly and giving players a more of a reason to take them.
Right. I know my mom was like, they need like some sort of grenade that they can throw or something.
Yeah, we're like I said, playtesting. That's coming into playtesting, and those people that are playtesting for us is important because we want to make sure that we do thorough playtesting on all of this. And that is one of the big points of our playtesting is how to make the infantry more fun to play.
Cool. I guess I'm just curious here. Heavy heat ray from the Martians. Is it +3 or +4? What are your thoughts? What about the spread attack?
The sweep attack?
Sweep attack, yeah.
Yes, we're all big fans of the sweep attack. So
personally, I kind of like a +4 for a directed attack and a +2 on a sweep.
Well, the balancing issues are coming into play, and because anyone that's done playtesting for and game design knows that once you start tweaking one thing, it starts to affect. It's a cascade effect.
Right. All of a sudden, you weaken the sweep, and all of a sudden, all these tanks are better and they're worth more points. And
yes, exactly. So we are looking at heat rays. We've been playtesting some changes to how some of the heat rays work, and scaling them up. Some of them maybe scaling up, some of them down. But like I said, that's another thing we're definitely looking at in playtesting.
And right now, the I guess problem or interesting situation is that the Martians are basically outranged.
Yes, and that's something that we found during our playthroughs that the Martians have to really get stuck in. That the humans tend to outrange them, and so if they get lucky, their Martians don't even get into their range really.
Right.
So that's something that we're also looking at.
Yeah. So I mean, there's lots of solutions there. I'm sure you guys can look at them. I mean, there's like range breaks and stuff too. I don't know if you want to get that complicated. You see, put my game designer hat on. Unfortunately, I start talking game design. Industrial might, things like that. I don't know if I ever saw anybody use it, but do people use it out there?
I've seen it used a little bit, but now I'm keeping right now we're playtesting the special rules for industrial might and exactly how it's going to impact the American faction, if you will. And that's something we wanted to make that more useful in a different way. And because each faction, we're planning on each faction, like the Americans have their special rules, and then the British are going to have their special rule. The Martians are going to have special rules for them, and then whatever faction comes out, say the Germans, will have their special thing, something that's going to make them unique, but is also actually useful that people will want to use. Give them a reason to actually use that faction because, hey, that special rule is really neat and it's fun.
Right. That makes a lot of sense, actually. Yeah. I'm going to go back and kind of look at the chat.
Okay.
And which I was not following, which I am going back and looking at now. Basically, somebody's talking about Abby normal game. Somebody said the flame tank they got was awful as far as the quality. Somebody said if they buy miniatures from Miniature Market, does that benefit you all at all right now?
Me right now, no. We're going to be, once we get manufacturing back up and running, we will be selling back to Miniature Market. But anything we give to Miniature Market, the quality, of course, is going to be what people would expect of their miniatures. It's something they would want to buy, as opposed to a bit of a dodgy quality that some people are finding now.
Right. Going through here, somebody said, will old sculpts be allowed in 2.0? I think the answer is yes. Somebody's concerned about new tanks with equal depth on each side.
I'm sorry, say that.
They said new tanks with. There's somebody basically saying that they're, I guess the American tanks, one side has plates, the miniatures, the plates are deeper on the one side than the other, more detail on one side than the other. Have you guys noticed that?
Yeah, we noticed that some of the American tanks are like that. Now, like I stated earlier, that there is going to be some. We're doing resculpts, and the speed in which the new sculpts are coming out are going to be made available are going to be completely determined by the market and how cost effective we can make the new sculpts.
Dale Wentz asked the question, which is a really good question. I should have asked. The new models, are they going to be plastic? They're going to be resin? They're going to be metal? Or are they going to be combinations of?
Again, that's going to go towards the most cost-effective method of production. That's going to give us the best balance between quality and affordability to the players.
Okay. I guess I was going to ask about drones. I know you guys floated out some drone rules. I know somebody on the chat was asking, saying they hate the drone bubble. I never honestly used a lot of drones because of the controller rule and the bubble. I liked the sniper drones because you could attach them to an assault squad and they would kind of autonomously operate. So I think some sort of much weaker autonomous drone might be something worth looking at, and I think you guys are, right?
Right. Now, I did put out a sneak peek of the rules that we're currently playtesting for drones, and right now the drones have a special rule that if they ever leave the bubble, that they will still function. They're not just going to sit there and stare off into the sky. That if they leave the bubble, they move and shoot towards the closest enemy element. Now the details exactly that was what we're playtesting right now, and we are that may change slightly in the future because the future is always fluid. But that just gives an idea to the fans of some of the things we're looking at. Another thing to fix the drone bubble problem is an option that you can add a control unit to a tripod.
Yeah, that's a great idea. So
again, it's something that's in play test right now, and the final version, everyone's going to be able to see the final version when the Kickstarter launches. But and we definitely want fan input. Again, the playtester at abbynormalpublications.com. Send a request there, and we'll look at making you become an official playtester.
Yeah, and so people are saying, one person, Lewis, I know he's pretty vocal, but saying must make a bridge in caps between the old and the new players, the old and the new edition, which I think, I mean, that's definitely your plan. You're basically going to allow the old models and everything, and so we're in good shape there.
I'm sorry, you froze up on me.
I'm sorry. I said that one of our listeners said that there must be a bridge between the old and the new edition, and I was basically saying, yeah, we're in good shape there because you're saying all the old models will work, and that way I think you have that bridge.
Yeah, we're not going to if someone bought models right now, there's no plan whatsoever to invalidate anyone's previous collection of All Quiet on the Martian front. If you have a flame tank now, you're going to be able to use that flame tank in the future.
And by the way, I thought that tank was the stupidest looking model I ever saw.
There's not
the command one. The command one was worse.
Not to say that some of these sculpts are going to change.
But what I was going to say is I actually have flipped on that and think it's iconic to the game now. I mean,
yeah, there is one of those is one of those models that does stand out as unique.
Right. So it's definitely not a little World War I tank from Britain, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I guess one other thing I had was Texas units. They came out with Texas units, miniatures, but there's no rules for them. I guess I'm sorry. Are you there? Are you there? Did the Texas units? Did they were never really rules farmers? Is that something you guys are looking at?
Yeah, actually, we're now we're trading on something that we're going to be keeping kind of close to the chest, but we're a big fan of named units. Exactly how that's going to be manifested in the new game, in the new edition, fans are going to have to wait and see. But that is definitely something that that I think everyone's going to be pleasantly surprised at.
Right. And so, by the way, Scott did post to the board, I guess. There is a PDF version of his Texas unit novel that's available for sale now. And they are, I guess it sounds like they're recording the Audible for it now, too.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody asking about editorial staff you may have access to, because the errors and the proofreading and stuff.
Yeah, like me bringing in a professional businessman into the team. We definitely also have some professional writers that are involved in this who will be able to be proofreading some of that.
Okay, very nice. Somebody yelled at me about calling the Morelands goofy. So basically, I guess that's pretty much all I had. Is there anything else you'd like to add, or when, I guess, in review, when are you talking about having your Rules Edition Kickstarter ready to go? And you're going to have everything ready to go before you do a Kickstarter launch on it, right? So what is your hope?
I'm sorry, you cut out. I didn't catch any of that.
I am just having bad luck with the internet tonight. I said you have a I think that you have said that you have a Kickstarter. You want all the rules ready to go before you actually launch a Kickstarter.
Yeah, the idea is we want to give fans that peace of mind that when that Kickstarter launches, that everything's going to be finalized and they're not going to have to be worried that, hey, are things going to come together? Are we going to miss out because it was mismanaged on the back end? We're going to make sure that everything is in place and ready to go when we launch the Kickstarter. So basically what the Kickstarter is for is for the fans to tell us how many we have to print.
Right.
That's the intent. So when Kickstarter, fans can be assured when we hit the launch on our Kickstarter, that everything is going to be done, and you're just telling us how many we have to print.
Right. It used to be, and fairly to Alien Dungeon. I mean, that what Kickstarter started, I should say, where you would you had the idea, you would present your idea, it wouldn't have to be done, and you're saying, hey, I need this to get it done. It's pretty much evolved now where you pretty much need a pretty much final product to go to Kickstarter.
Yeah, fans kind of expect that nowadays, that you can't just have your game drawn out on a piece of poster board and some homemade pieces out on the board, and to give people an idea of what they're buying into. I think the standard pretty much now is having a 90% solution to what you're offering.
Right.
And that's our intent, is to go with that, is to make sure that when we hit the launch button, that all it is everything is done, and we're just waiting on you guys to tell us, the fans, to tell us how many we need to print to sake the beast.
Yeah. Trying to answer one more question. Somebody was asking about marketing, and we've already answered that you're definitely going to make this game store friendly, and you're expecting to go retail outlets, not just online sales. Do you have any plans to go to any conventions, though, was something else that was asked?
Yes, actually we do. Right now on our docket, we are definitely going to be attending second edition rules will, in their current form, not saying they won't change, but in their current form, will be shown at Emerald City Comic-Con. We already have a booth at Emerald City Comic-Con.
Where's that?
That's in Seattle.
Okay.
And we're also planning on being at Enfilade this year. Right now, that's what we have on our radar. Not to say that we won't be at other conventions.
Okay.
Those are the two solids that we have right now.
All right. That's good to hear. So, yeah, so that's it for me for now. Do you have anything else you want to add or talk about what your plans are?
Well, not releasing too many of our secrets, but for us, I want to really reiterate that the fans are really what make this game successful. And so the fan input is very important to us. So, I mean, we have been reading the people's suggestions on the forums, and once our new official website is live, we'll be switching it over to all of our input into the new web page. But
when do you foresee that happening?
Well, we should have a placeholder web page up by tomorrow, I believe it is, and we're still under construction for the full website.
Okay.
But right now, any input that's put into the Facebook page or the AQMF forums in their current existence, we read religiously. So we're big fans of play testing and fan input. So keep bringing it to us. Keep those suggestions flowing.
Okay. So that's it for now, David. I want to thank you so much for coming on. I know that some of the lag issues were a bit of a mess, and guys, I apologize for my failure at internet with how to schedule and have an encoded thing going. Hopefully most of you made it over here, and if not, this will be available on YouTube. I guess, Dave, I'd love to have you back as you get more of a solid I guess second edition, closer to second edition, and I'll definitely be one of those guys looking to apply. I think I already have for play testing, so I'm really looking forward to see what you guys have going on.
Yeah, and yeah, just I think we put it into the chat, the email you want to send things to, and just to give everyone a heads up, we will be making our decisions on who's going to become an official play tester in the next couple weeks.
Okay.
So get those applications in.
All right. So that's it for me for now. Thanks so much for joining. I apologize, like I said again, about the start and the lag issues, but I think there were a lot of good information you shared. I appreciate that. And I know I've been a little bit early in your process because the whole sale thing kind of sounds like it kind of came up. I don't know what to say, out of the blue, but and so it's taken you guys a while to try and get your hands on getting it started up, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we want to make sure we have a firm foundation. We don't want to rush into it too much, and we want to build a solid foundation on some solid ground for this.
Right. Okay, so that's it for now. Everybody, go out there, blow up some tripods, keep it going, and we'll be looking forward to, well, I hope you make it to something like Gen Con, where we can maybe not have like a booth or anything, but just you know, roll some dice and kill some things.
Yeah, as a player, I've been at Gen Con for the last 4 or 5 years,
so yeah, well, maybe we can have a all quiet meetup at Gen Con.
I think that would be a great idea.
So, all right, that's it for now, everybody. Thanks so much, and we'll catch you next time.
All right, till next time.